Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another episode of the KittyFoxCast. I am very aware that it has been 2 weeks since I last uploaded a podcast, so my apologies for that. I am realizing lately in life that I tend to stretch myself very thin when it comes to day-to-day activities and things I have to do. A lot of you know that I work about 10 hours a day. Maybe some of you didn't know that, but I do. That is by choice. I don't have to do that. Normally, in the USA, normal working days is about 8 hours per day, but I chose to do 10 because of the payout. And some people have brought it to my attention. They think that I'm working too much, or they think that I'm overdoing it, but I would agree on some level. Yes, it is a lot, and the 2 extra hours that I spend per day could be contributing to something else entirely. However, I find it profitable. I find it easy. I find it very useful in my schedule only because I can afford it. I can afford that extra 2 hours per day because when I get home at night, all I really do is relax and kind of plan for the next day or the weekend, depending on the day, and I'm okay with it. So, because of that, I missed last week for podcasting because, I kid you not, every single night last week I had something going on, whether it was a family thing or something to do with a friend or a project or something along those lines. I think I am the definition of a workaholic, and I'm not trying to break that anytime soon. However, what I am trying to do is find a good amount of work-life balance. And I say this to you as I'm currently lying on my couch recording this. Yes, I am laying down because my body just does not feel up to par to do anything at the moment except this, what I am doing right now. Also, I am procrastinating because I have to pack for WPAFW, that's Western Pennsylvania, for a weekend. Why they say it WPAFW? Because there's a W at the end? It doesn't really make much sense to me. Shouldn't it be WPAFW? WPAFW? But I guess WPAFW makes sense because it rolls off the tongue a little bit better. That can be said about a lot of things. Anyway, so I'm procrastinating, and instead I've decided to record a podcast. So here we are. I am very ill prepared for this convention this weekend. To those of you who don't know, WPAFW is a very small furry convention, maybe a couple hundred people. We all gather at a park in Western Pennsylvania, hence the name. It's right outside of Pittsburgh, so right outside of Anthracon's stomping grounds. I will be there from tomorrow night to Sunday night. I have opted not to take any days off because it is a short drive for me, considering where I live in Ohio. So the plan is to work probably a shorter day tomorrow, after I just explained 10 hours a day. Work 9, maybe 8 hours tomorrow. Clock out, get to my house, load up my car, drive 2 hours to Pittsburgh, and go and be fluffy for the weekend. This is my second time attending this convention. It was a lot of fun last year. Basically, what it entails is a bunch of us, being furries, we get together at this little lodge up on a hill. And when I say up on a hill, I mean it's like far up on a hill. Like, there's an amphitheater, really small amphitheater type setting. There's a stage and a a backstage cabin type thing. There's a big lodge cabin deal. They got picnic tables and like a galley that's a kitchen. And they have a full open bar, which I will partake in, but I will not overdo this weekend. That is my vow, because unfortunately, unlike other conventions, this convention requires driving. So the hotels that we stay in are off-site. They are about a mile or two down the road, and we basically load up there, sleep, and then come back the next day and repeat for the entire weekend. I will be seeing a number of my friends. They are all going. There are a few that are going for the first time. There are some that I will be greeting out of state, and I will be enjoying a good time. Excuse me 1 second, I'm going to unplug that. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Discord call. So, I will be there till Sunday. There's going to be shows, there's going to be food, which is complimentary. Very nice of the staff to be doing that. There's also a shuttle service, so shuttles going from the hotels to the convention area. Basically, you just vibe the whole weekend. You go up there. There might be a campfire or two. Like I said, there's a bar. There's an area for cigars, which I'm very much a fan of. I have, I believe, one cigar left that I'm planning to enjoy while I'm there. There will be a number of individuals I'm looking forward to seeing, a number of performers, and what's really cool is instead of a dealer's den, they have a raffle off. So you can put in tickets for certain items, and depending on, you can put in dollars for donations, and then you get a certain amount of tickets per dollar, and they call it the lot. You receive the lot if your ticket gets drawn. I remember last year there was an individual by the name of Racky Tiger. Some of you are maybe familiar with that name, who won, I swear, like 5 of the raffle prizes. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he managed to get so many. If I'm not mistaken, because he got so many, he ended up handing out some of the raffle prizes to people, which was very kind of him. He did not have to do that. And on Saturday, I believe we have the Archie is fighting with something. I don't know what he's got. Archie, what do you have? Oh, that's lovely. He got a wrapper, so he's having fun right now, currently, as I lay here. Anyway, so we'll be doing the fursuit picture on Saturday. I plan to suit probably the entire convention, if not most of it. I will be getting there fairly late tomorrow, but that doesn't matter because I will be there enjoying my time with my friends, and I will be enjoying the con festivities, and hopefully everything will go to plan. This time, I don't really have a plan. Last year, I over-prepared. For example, I packed too many clothes, I packed too many props, I took my camera equipment, and I did record stuff, but nothing really was published from that con. I didn't make a con video or anything, and every time I tried to edit it, it just did not seem like the best thing. It just didn't seem like the right move. I don't know why. I just, afterwards in post-production, I felt like it was a good idea to just let this con be what it is. A lot of you know from my other channel, my main channel, that I tend to document furry conventions pretty close to the chest. I especially did that with Anthrocon this year and last year. I did that with Megaplex this year and last year. But WPAFW is a con that's just small enough and just intimate enough that you just want to enjoy it. You don't want to worry so much about production and what you can get out of it as far as content is concerned, but you just want to enjoy. You just want to sit back and enjoy what comes to you during that convention. To any of you who are in the northeast part of the U.S., I highly recommend WPAFW. It is a very fun con, and I'm excited to go. And hey, if any of you are there this weekend, I would love to meet you. It's going to be a great time, and I'm going to take the time to relax, be with my friends, and just enjoy life for a weekend. Forget that I'm a responsible working adult for once, and just be fluffy, be a big fluffy animal with my friends, and enjoy it. So that is my plan. Here's to WPAFW. Other than the con this weekend, this week was actually more low-key. I'm very surprised. A lot of people around me have been getting sick, so I've just been kind of laying low and kind of staying away from the people who have been getting sick and just being like, look, I have an event coming up. I really don't want to get sick, so keep your distance. Thankfully, nobody I know or close to me has gotten COVID again, because I heard that's back on the rise a little bit. Hopefully, that won't be a problem after the con either, because we would not want that. But yeah, this week has been nothing but busy at my job. And when I get home, I filmed the video. I caught up on some Game of Thrones. I was actually watching some Game of Thrones before this. That's a bit of a story in itself. So my coworker, bless his heart, one of my closer coworkers at my job, is the only one who knows that I'm a furry. I don't tend to advertise it at my job because it's not something that's really called for at my line of work. But my one close coworker, who I just mentioned, is a huge nerd. He loves all things Disney, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, you name it. He's one of those people who just, he's a nerd like me. So I figured if anyone is going to understand what I do in my spare time, it's going to be him. So a little bit of story beyond the story that I'm telling you now. This was about a month ago-ish. There was Wizarding World in my hometown, or in the town that I live in. And basically, you got your robe and your wand and all that good stuff. I'm a Gryffindor, I realized, taking the test. The hat test, the sorting hat test, as to, reference to Harry Potter to any of you who know. And I'm a Gryffindor. So I was supposed to meet him and his wife for this event. This is right down the street from me. So I put on my robe, I put on my fursuit head, my tail, and my paws, and got my wand, and I walked down, or I rode down, and then I walked to where he was. And he actually came up to me. He was like, "It's you." And I was like, "How could you tell it was me?" And he told me it's because of the way I walked. He could tell it was me by the way I walked, which was really, really interesting to me. Turns out, we as humans and individuals, we have our own gait. It's called a gait. And a gait is how you walk, what your pace is like, your stride when you walk. That's what a gait is. And I have that gait, I guess. It's very recognizable. So I walk in my own way, and that's how he was able to tell it was me, even though I was in my fursuit. And I told him beforehand, I said, "You're going to want to see this because I have a cosplay, quote unquote, a cosplay, that I want to show you." And he's like, "Okay." So we met up, and I asked him what he thought. And he said, "I honestly don't know what to think." Those were his words. And I said, "Yeah, well, all these conventions that you hear me going to and all these conventions that I've been attending, these are the conventions." And he just nodded and he said, "Now it makes sense." I was like, "Yep, it does." So we got to visit. We had a nice conversation. I met up with his wife who was sitting next to him, and she thought it was cool too. So they both thought it was pretty interesting. And we haven't been separated. We haven't been strangers or anything like that. We actually, I feel like we've grown closer since then. So I'm very pleased with the result of that interaction. I was not sure how he was going to take it, but he took it very well, as did his wife, and they're just overall cool people. So I am grateful for that interaction. So what started this whole tangent was this same coworker was very generous. He actually blessed me with his entire collection of Game of Thrones on DVD and Blu-ray. I did not expect that, let alone even like want to accept it, because that's like hundreds of dollars worth of DVDs. Like, you're kidding me. It's a lot of money that you spent on a series. And the only reason is because I had told him about a week prior to that I had never seen Game of Thrones. I planned to, but I just didn't really have the means to see it. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to fix that. So he gave me his entire collection. And I've been working through it slowly. I am currently on season 2, episode 9, I believe. And it is fantastic. I have seen the memes. I understand that the last couple seasons aren't the best, and I still intend to see them, even though I hear they are not the best. But, nevertheless, I am liking it so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm taking in every minute as much as I can and enjoying all of it. And it is so far a fantastic work of art. I'm very pleased with how it's turning out. So, to any of you Game of Thrones nuts, please no spoilers in the comments. I've heard some things here and there, but I'm taking them all with a grain of salt. And I'm also, well, let's put it this way. My coworker told me not to get too attached to any characters because there is a lot of death in this show. And I know this from experience through watching shows like The Walking Dead. Any of you Walking Dead nerds out there, you know what I'm talking about. That's a different tangent, but I kind of stopped watching The Walking Dead after season 8. I gave season 8 a chance, and I started season 9, I believe, but I just couldn't do it. It was just too much for me. And I believe they are officially ending, if they haven't ended already, with season 11. And I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I'll just watch the whole series from start to finish, because it's all going to be on streaming anyway, and just see how it ends. Because I loved the show ever since it started on TV, and I watched it on premiere nights on Sundays ever since the beginning. Oh, sorry, no. I think the premiere night was Wednesday night. Every night on AMC. Not every Wednesday, every night. Every Wednesday night on AMC during the seasons that were coming out. In fact, I found out my aunt was a huge fan, so we had a watch party at one time, which was really cool. And I just ate it up. Like, to the point where Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, came in. I've loved it. I loved season 7. And here's a bit of a hot take. The top 3 seasons, in my opinion, of The Walking Dead have been season 1, season 3, and season 7. It's basically Origins, the prison, and then Negan. Those are my top 3 seasons in the entire series. Number 1 will always be number 1. Season 1 will always be number 1 in my heart, because it really started off something special for me. And when I first saw it, I was like, this show is fantastic. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching the first time I saw it, because at first I thought, oh great, another zombie show or another zombie medium that, oh, here we go. Because I've played plenty of video games. I played Left 4 Dead. I've seen Zombieland. I've seen Shaun of the Dead. I've seen I played Call of Duty Zombies. I'm familiar with the zombie trait, you know, the zombie lore, as it were. So my expectations were kind of low, but the show really blew it out of the water for me. And now I'm on to Game of Thrones, officially. I know I'm about 10 years too late, but it's okay. I'm enjoying it. I worked through Breaking Bad. I worked through Better Call Saul. I worked through Gotham. I am working through Demon Slayer. I'm working through Game of Thrones. I worked through House MD. I also saw some Scrubs for the first time this year, which I've never seen before. I thought it was pretty fantastic. What else? Shows. I've been watching Bluey nonstop, so there's that. I can never get enough of Bluey. Bluey is one of my favorite shows currently, and I cannot get enough of it either. I hope they come out with more seasons, but I totally get why they're on pause right now. And yeah, that's the current state of my show watching right now. And until I get done with Game of Thrones, I'm not sure what's next. Maybe The Wire, maybe The Sopranos. I did start watching The Sopranos, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop because I feel like I should enjoy this with somebody or find some people that also enjoy it so I can have some conversations and talk about some lore. I do know how The Sopranos ends, unfortunately, because I'm a nerd and I watch like documentary stuff. So that was kind of a big spoiler for me, but you know what? It doesn't matter because it's all about the adventure leading up to that. So that's the current state of my shows that I've been watching. Speaking of media, one of my friends I talked to earlier this week on Discord, he reintroduced me to a band that I completely forgot about, and shame on me for forgetting about them. Steam Powered Giraffe. Steam Powered Giraffe, I heard for the first time last year. I looked up some of their music. I know that Pepper Coyote did a cover of one of their songs, and it's on his Dog Songs for Song Dogs album, which he did a great job at. The song is Honeybee, by the way. And I've been listening to Steam Powered Giraffe again, so I'm very happy with that. And the thing about me is it's kind of difficult for me to get into new music or music be introduced to a group or something, because it has to tickle me a certain way. It has to rub me a certain way, no pun intended. There's no puns here, what am I saying? Let your mind flow through with that one, I guess. But yeah, I've been reacclimated to Steam Powered Giraffe, and I'm loving every song that I'm hearing so far. I haven't found a bad song yet. They are very underrated, in my opinion, and I'm glad that they have gotten the traction that they have because, according to my friend, they started out just like any other band, like nothing. They were just small-timey. They played clubs, they played little venues, and then they started playing theaters, and they got more traction, and it just kind of picked up from there. So I'm excited to continue listening to them. So, speaking of music, whenever I listen to music, I tend to go with whatever the vibe is feeling that day. Like, lately I've been listening to a lot of Owl City again. I have my bouts where I listen to a certain band for a little while. Like, for a while it was the Beatles, and I kind of circulate. I go from the Beatles to Stan Rogers to Blink-182 to 21 Pilots to The Night Game and Linkin Park and other types of bands, and like My Chemical Romance, and I'll like circulate the same artists over and over. It just depends on what I'm feeling that day. And lately I've been listening to a lot of indie music. One of my favorite indie folk bands is The Head and the Heart, so highly recommend The Head and the Heart to any of you who like folk music. I like them. I've been listening to... Actually, there's a couple of old-timey country stuff that I've been listening to, and I mean like Johnny Cash and like believe it or not, some Hank Williams, and like Hank Williams the first, that is, and some Willie Nelson, and that's one of my circulations. But when it comes to like stadium country, like this new timey country, I'm not really into it, unless it's like Brad Paisley, which is like, this dude is multi-talented in many ways. He can sing, he can play guitar. That's a more modern country artist, I guess, that I could appreciate because of his talent. But other than that, I'm not a huge country fan unless it's like old stuff. So also I'll switch to bluegrass from time to time because that's kind of how I grew up. So Yeah. I grew up a partial country boy. I lived out in the woods most of my childhood, and we lived next to a farm, so there was a lot of that type of music around. And then you take 2 steps and you're in the city. Like, it was a very weird suburban rural area that I lived in that the internet sucked. Which I'm thankful to be in the place I am now, with nice internet. So that's kind of been my music taste lately. One of the things that happened this week, which I thought was kind of funny, actually not so funny as it was sweet. So one of my coworkers is a huge crochet slash knit specialist. Like, she likes to crochet and knit. She's a knitter. She's a crocheter. She does all those types of things, and she crafts, and she makes all kinds of these little things. Like, she's made multiple scarves, and one of the things that she does is she makes decorations out of yarn. She'll knit decorations. Like, she made these little leaves. She made some pumpkins for autumn. She made acorns, and I thought they were the cutest things in the world. And we have that appreciation of artistry in common. So I'm a sucker for good art, no matter what it is, be it a painting or a digital art or like handmade something or other. In fact, anybody who's a fursuiter, you are literally wearing that person's art on you at all times. So she was very kind. She made me a little pumpkin for autumn. It's really cute. It's really small and orange, and it's got a green stem. And then she made one for my mom. She made like this little gray and dark gray pumpkin with a very dark stem. And I gave it to my mom yesterday, and she absolutely loved it. Like, she could not believe that my coworker had taken the time to make her one. So I thought that was adorable. In fact, I think my mom's words were, "It was absolutely darling." So she wrote her a thank you note. She read it today, and she said, "I give all the credit to your mom for being such a kind person." So that was really nice to hear. So thank you, Mom, for having me and raising me the way you did. Thanks, Dad, too. And thank you to my coworker for making this little pumpkin. It is beautiful, and I love mine too, so I'm very happy. Let's see. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this past week. So, a lot of you are wondering, and some of you have asked me, what are my Halloween plans? Well, one of my Halloween plans is to go see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I am stoked for this movie. I cannot wait until this movie comes out. As a matter of fact, a number of us are going to be going to the premiere, hopefully in costume. I don't think they'll be allowing fursuits, but we'll see. I have to call and ask, because that's what you have to do. But I have my security guard outfit already. I'm ready to, I have my hat, and I have my coat and my badge, and I'm ready to be a security guard. I'll just walk in, and I'll just be like, okay, where are the doors, and where is the small room with all the monitors? I need to know so that we will not be eaten or stuffed by the animatronics. That sounded a little risque. Anyway, so Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out, I think the 26th of October is when it comes out. As a matter of fact, I heard something kind of funny not too long ago. So when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out at the same time, people coined it Barbenheimer because they were out at the same time. So they would go watch Barbie, then they would go watch Oppenheimer, or vice versa. I did not see them together. I saw them separate, but I basically did the Barbenheimer and had the full experience because I believe I saw Barbie first, then Oppenheimer, and both movies were fantastic. Well, I found out later that Paw Patrol, the movie, came out, and Saw X, which is Saw 10, came out at around the same time, so they've been calling it Saw Patrol, which I thought was really funny. And then I learned another thing even later, was that Saw X was supposed to come out during Five Nights at Freddy's, which good on them for the marketing decision to not release the same movies at the same time, because one thing, I'm pretty sure Five Nights at Freddy's would have steamrolled Saw X, and nobody would have gone to see it, or it would have been like way under the radar considering the absolute mania of the fan base that FNAF has. And it wasn't until recently they were probably like, you know what? It's probably better to release it during Paw Patrol because it's a different vibe of a movie, and also if we release it around Halloween, then Five Nights at Freddy's will take over, which it will. So Saw X, I hope you're doing well out there, and Paw Patrol, I hope you are doing well as well. We were trying to think of a clever limericky name, like if Saw X came out with Five Nights at Freddy's, maybe Five Saws at Freddy's, or Five Nights at Jigsaw's or something like that, but didn't really work out. It just doesn't have a very good ring that I can think of. So if any of you have any clever limericks to those two movies, then please let me know in the comments. So besides the FNAF movie, I will be fursuiting downtown in my city that I live in. Last year, in fact, every year, I live in a college town, so every year they have a giant Halloween block party. They block off the roads, and everybody goes down there and has a great time in costumes. They'll bar hop. There's like a festival that happens around Halloween, and it's just a great time. So I plan to fursuit like I did last year and the year before that, downtown, and it is going to be a great time. As a matter of fact, last year I had we got a lot of pictures with a lot of people. A lot of people were very happy to see all of us in fursuit, and after a certain amount of time, people started to, well, not everybody, but certain people started to like yell at us and say like, ew, furries, and ew, get out of here, furries, blah, 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 and so on. One of the funnier interactions that happened last year was there was a dude who came up to me in a skull mask. I think it was like a scream mask or something, and he was riding a hoverboard. And then we were all stopped at the crosswalk because we wanted to cross, and all of us were in fursuits. And the dude wearing the mask came up to me. He was standing next to me, and he came up and he said, "Do you have rabies?" Just kind of off the cuff, just asked me, "Do you have rabies?" And I looked at him with a blank stare, like you do in fursuit, and I said, "I can give you some." And he just said, "Ew," and he like rode off. He was not happy with my response. So, dude, if you're listening, you can still have my rabies. The offer is still on the table. Feel free to take some. I do not need it anymore. You can share my pain and mouth foaming. I honestly would love to. No, that's a little much. Anyway, so we'll see what happens this year. Thankfully, none of us got attacked or anything like that last year. It never got physical. However, there was a bit of a weirder interaction that happened last year. All of us, we were taking a break. We went to this little restaurant/bar, and we were just hanging out on the patio, and we were just cooling off, letting the cool air kind of brush over us. And some drunk guy came up. All of our heads were stacked like on the railing, sitting on the patio. And some drunk dude came up and just decided to like pick up my one friend's fursuit head and just put it on. And we were like, "Do you know this guy?" He's like, "No." So we were like, "Hey, you can't do that. Don't do that. Don't just go up to someone's fursuit head or costume, just put it on, because that's not cool." And then he took it off and he said, "Man, you sweat a lot." It's like, come on, really? You put on my friend's fursuit head and you're going to say that? Insult to injury so much? Ugh, that's something I'll never forget. So yeah, if you see a fursuit head just chilling there, don't put it on unless you ask first, because that head, I can guarantee you, is probably more than your paycheck, sir, that you just put on. So you got to be careful with stuff like that, especially if you're inebriated. So that being said, to any of you who have Halloween plans, please be safe, please be smart, drink responsibly, and know your limits, because you want to have a good time and you do not want to make a fool of yourself. I've been there, and I do not encourage that upon anybody. So that is my current Halloween plans, and somewhere in there I have to fit in a live stream. I said it on my other YouTube channel, that I would be doing a live stream for Halloween. I don't know who all is going to be joining me, but I'm expecting a good turnout. I'm expecting people to join me either that night or just by myself, because I want to celebrate the spooky season and the spooky day with all of you. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. I think this podcast is going to be a little bit shorter than what I'm used to. So I plan to, let's see here. I have some questions that I'd like to read. One of the questions that I got from people was, I'm gonna pull these up in a second. Ooh, okay. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so this one comes from a good friend of mine, Riff the Dane, Riff the Great Dane. So shout out to you, Riff. The question is, if you could remake any live action movie with anthropomorphic characters, what species would each character be? That's a really good question. Remake any live action movie with anthropomorphic characters. What would it be, and what species would each character be? Let's see. Movie live action. And he asked specifically for live action. I would want to recreate Ghostbusters with anthropomorphic characters, and here's why. Because that movie is already goofy enough as it is. It's already something that it's close to many of our hearts, and it has the right amount of comedy that I think just matches the furry vibe in a lot of ways. So for the main characters, we have Venkman, we have Stance, we have Zedmore, Winston, and we have Spengler, Egon. Let's see. I would make Peter Venkman I would make him a. Well, I want to say hyena, but he has more of a, because he's got that crackhead vibe that's like very stoic. So if he's like a stoic type of crackhead, I would say he would be a meerkat. I think a meerkat because he's stoic and he's cunning, but he's also like silly and kind of like he's got that look to him. You know what I mean? He's got kind of like that maybe it's the hair, I don't know, but he's got that look to him of a meerkat. That's just what I think of. I think Dr. Stance would be like an owl because he's a nerd, a huge nerd, and he's like one of the smarter ones of the bunch, but he also has his moments of what was that about? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So owl for Ray Stance. For Winston Zedmore, I would make him a leopard because he's quick to act, and he's also like he's quick to say the first words. Like, he's quick to size up the situation and explain it. He's quick to get something done, and he seems to know, like, we don't give him enough credit. He just seems to know where to go and what to do at all times. So he's got the bravery and the courage and the speed. And for Egon Spengler, ooh, this is a tough one because Ray's already the owl. I think Spengler would be, I think he'd be like a fish of some kind. I think he'd be a killer whale, like an orca, because he's docile, but when it's time to act, he fights. Like, he's a fighter when it's time to act. And he seems to have that characteristic of just being like, he seems like a harmless animal, and he's very sweet to people, but when he wants to protect, or when it's time to hunt, he's after it. Like, he's the first one after. He's like, let's go, guys, and he's also like the mastermind. And by the way, orcas are very smart, so orcas have a huge prefrontal cortex, so Yeah, he'd be an orca. For the side characters like Lewis, that is Rick Moranis' character. Coyote, definitely a coyote. Just I don't have to explain that one. Sigourney Weaver, Dana Barrett's character, I think she'd be like a house cat, I think, because she's sassy and she's also cuddly when she wants to be. For Janine, Annie Potts, I think that's her name, Annie Potts, right? Janine would be, she'd be a frog. I could see her being a frog, anthropomorphic frog. Let's see, am I missing anybody? The guy, what's his name? Walter Peck, the evil dude, like the redheaded dude that's like the EPA guy. He would be a wolf, you know? He's there to wreak havoc and he blows the house down, basically. Who else am I missing here? Stay Puft Marshmallow Man would be just a big inflatable, like, what the heck would he be? He'd be inflatable, but he'd be like an inflatable bear or something, like a big teddy bear, you know. He roars and he's big and cuddly, and just picture him as like a big white inflatable polar bear. That's what I think he'd be. And it still is kind of true to the marshmallow idea. Like white polar bear, marshmallow, and speaking as a fellow marshmallow, I get it. But yeah, I would recreate Ghostbusters with those characters as those anthropomorphic characters. I think that'd be interesting. So yeah, thanks for the question. All right, so we are currently 41 minutes into this thing, and I think that I'm going to leave it here. Didn't have a whole lot to talk about this week. It was kind of a low week and leading up to a convention. I know what you're thinking, like, Samson, weren't you just at a convention? Yes, I was. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I was at a convention, and I'm already ready for another one. My convention plans after this will be Midwest Fur Fest in November and December. It starts in November, leads into December. Looking forward to that one a lot. It'll be my third time at MFF, and I'm very excited for that. But between WPAFA and MFF, I got nothing going on. Other than, like, Halloween plans, nothing going on. I am expecting October to be kind of lax. I'm expecting November to be lax with the holidays coming up. And then after MFF, we have Christmas and New Year's, which I can't believe it's already to this point of the year already. Like, we're already looking at the holidays. Feels like 2023 just started. So, holy crap, I cannot wait for the holidays. It's one of my favorite times of year. So, this has been your lazy Kitty Fox host, laying down currently, feeling like I should probably get up and pack for the con. And I'm going to do that now and stop procrastinating. So, thank you all for listening. And as I end all of these, I want to encourage you. There is the message at the end of every one of my videos. That's a Latin phrase, Sic Parvis Magna. It means, it's Latin, and it translates to greatness from small beginnings. Never forget where you came from. Never forget your origins and your humble beginnings, because you never know who is going to come along in your life. Never forget the people that brought you up in your life to get you to where you are now. Remember that you're still here and that you're not done yet. So make sure that you fulfill your purpose no matter what, and nobody else can be you except for you. Be yourself, be authentic, be who you were meant to be. Ask yourself, am I who I want to be? And if the answer is no, hiccups. If the answer is no, then ask yourself, how can I get to where I want to be in life? So that's the podcast. I'm looking forward to next week when I finally get back on track with this thing. Things will resume as normal next week, so with live streams and such. I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful fall weekend, depending on where you are in the world. Enjoy the falling leaves. Enjoy the cooler weather. Hopefully the rain will subside where I am, because I really want to enjoy this weekend. But I'm looking forward to it, and I am looking forward to catching up with all of you very soon. And thank you all for your continued support. Without you, I wouldn't be here. I would not be where I am if it's not for you. Thank you for everything that you've done for me in my life. You've changed it for the better, and I couldn't be more grateful. Until next time, this is Samson Kitty Fox, and I'll see you then. Bye. Bye-bye.